Hey guys, I'm Shirok here with the 5 most underrated games of all time. Does this mean they have to be good games or even bad games? No, it really doesn't. It just means they didn't receive as much praise as they should have. Before I start, I would once again like to express these are only opinions and your death threats in the comments are not necessary. Disagree? Go make your own list instead of leaving a nasty comment. Thanks. And now, on to the review. Number 5 on our list are the Zelda CDI games. Now some of you are sitting here going, wait, those were total crap. Philips truly tried its hardest, but it just didn't have the experience. What made most people hate these games are the cutscenes. Look at Zelda, look at Link, look at even King Harkian. People just couldn't stand some of their favorite Zelda characters being taken into these cutscenes, given bad voice acting, and making them look gay. Thus, they bashed the game as a whole without even playing it. Go on GameSpot and you can see evidence on this. Throughout these 3 games, you will see terrible ratings and reviews by people who haven't even touched the game or even an emulation or ROM of it. I personally own Zelda's Adventure, Faces of Evil, and Wand of Gamelon, along with a real CDI player. And let me tell you, Wand of Gamelon, once you get into the gameplay, is quite a bit of fun, while the other 2 are mediocre at least. The reason these games were hated is simply because they weren't made by Nintendo and because of the cutscenes. No one cared about their gameplay or even judged any part of it. Number 4 on the list is the great PC game Age of Empires 2. Today it's all about StarCraft, Halo Wars, Age of Empires 3, but the true best strategy game ever in my opinion was Age of Empires 2. The graphics were nice, the campaigns were well created, and was the first one to really revolutionize strategy games up to the point they are today. The one thing that usually kills a strategy game is its difficulty or lack of. Age of Empires 2 hit difficulty right where it should be, and if things ever got too overwhelming for me, you can just type in how do I turn this on and make a billion cars. Even without cheats, it was a great game and should be put down as one of the best strategy games, if not the best ever. Number 3 is Advanced Wars 2. When you think of the Game Boy Advance, best game, you probably think Pokemon. Well, I don't see why. But, Advanced Wars 2 is, in my opinion, the definite best on GBA. It's a turn-based strategy game that is just so well balanced, it takes such precise planning, and is just generally so fun. In Fire Emblem, you were constantly restricted to the army you had with you. In Advanced Wars, you start out with nothing but a few bases, create your own units, and put out a war against an base. Great game, best of GBA. Number 2 is Tetris. A lot of people are sitting there like, Tetris was great, maybe even overrated by a little. I'm not talking about the Tetris you all know, I'm talking about the copy of Tetris made by Tengen. When the Tetris rights were transferred from the Soviet Union, they were poorly kept track of, and tons of companies owned the sole rights to Tetris. Tengen actually managed to make a better version of Tetris than Nintendo, but when Nintendo sued and won sole rights to Tetris, Tengen had to pull all its copies off the shelves. It was actually able to sell for 4 weeks, so if you want to find a copy of the superior version of Tetris, you can look on eBay under Tetris Tengen. I warn you, they're quite a bit more expensive than the original. Why is it so? Other than the sales, this version had 2-player mode, more tracks, and it was well presented. Number 1 on the list is a game you have probably never heard of, your friends have never heard of, no one you know has probably ever heard of it. Monster Rancher 4. Monster Rancher was created by Techno, probably to rival Pokemon. Most people would call it a Pokemon ripoff. You can tell that Monster Rancher was inspired by Pokemon, getting a monster and raising it, but what Techno did with Monster Rancher that makes it so much better is they actually added depth. Each monster you raise can learn up to 9 attacks each. You can have up to 5 monsters at a time, and you won't be using the same set the whole game, for sure. You'll be facing many enemies with other attacks. What sets it apart from Pokemon, really, is all the depth it's at. I'm probably not going to be able to make sense of it, so I'll just post in some videos while I'm trying to explain it. Instead of needlessly going about in circles about the depth, I'm now going to explain it. Monster Rancher had a system called Guts, not unlike Pokemon's PP. Each attack would take a certain amount of Guts. Each monster would start with 50, and Guts go out by about 2.5 per second. You can only use a certain attack at a certain range, and being Monster Ranchers in real-time battle, you can move your monster back and forth to select one of 3 attacks per range. more powerful it is, the more guts it takes. Thus, it eliminates people spamming attacks, but yet still manages a great battle system monster on monster. Anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the 10 best Advanced Wars units.